Hey, welcome to Typevolution. It's been a while since I've used one of these whiteboards, but here we are. This is about type blockages. Blockages that negatively impact your personality type's expression. You could say it's trauma, but I want to be a bit more specific, like what is trauma? I'm going to reduce it to any negative life experiences from your past that still haunts you. And it can be a big trauma, it can be a small trauma, anything that really emotionally hurt you a lot. Usually it's something that occurred in childhood. Sometimes it can also occur later in life. So that's what I mean with trauma here. I'm using it as a catchphrase a little bit, but yeah, basically any negative life experiences where you felt very rejected, very emotionally hurt. It can be hard to know what your true type or your true personality is when you are inhibited by all kinds of blocks. And I've noticed with my clients and other people online and just based on my observations, also personally, that some experiences can really cause mistypes and misunderstandings when it comes to the personality types. So these are the main dichotomies from the Jungian system. You can also say mbti, socionics, and I'm going to go through each one of these and how you might mistype yourself as one of these based on a negative past or some kind of trauma, so to speak. All right, introvert, question mark. I've had clients like this, and I've observed it online a lot or in real life. People who think they are introverts because of social anxiety. It doesn't even matter why you have social anxiety. There are different reasons for it. It's not always related to trauma or bullying per se, but oftentimes there is a link to that. So usually it's a past of bullying, it's a past of being cast out, being socially rejected and things like that. And that in turn can create social anxiety, besides other reasons, of course. And the social anxiety inhibits you. Anything that inhibits you due to fears or any other kind of problem will inhibit your true type expression. And in the case of social anxiety, it's very obvious. You will think that you must be an introvert because you feel very uncomfortable in social situations. You really hold yourself back. You are shy. You don't want to talk. You don't want to engage. You want to stay away from gathering, social interactions, and things like that. This is also just a misunderstanding of what introversion is. Because, like I said in many of my videos and blog articles, introversion and extroversion are not truly what sociability is. Sociability is a separate matter. It's true that if you're an extrovert, on average, you're going to have higher energy or higher mental capacity for stimulation, mental stimulation, or mental engagement. So even if you're an introvert who values social interactions, you're still going to run out of gas quicker than an extrovert. That's just the mechanics of it, you could say. Even so, there are introverts out there who really value sociable stuff, socializing, friends, friend groups, and that's all about the social instinct. I've also made videos about the social instinct. So anyway, if you have social anxiety, I would really encourage you first try to overcome your social anxiety. There's different methods. Of course, you could go to therapy, you could, have a coach. I've also overcome social anxiety myself, so it's possible. And then you will probably see your type bloom. You will see how you really are, your true type expression. So with introversion, I'd say it's social anxiety. Let me add that here. Social anxiety. All right, extrovert, question mark. So people who think they are extroverts, but actually not. In this case, it's what I'd say is social stigma. Now, social stigma is not necessarily as bad as social anxiety, but it really depends. Essentially, you grew up believing that being an introvert is bad. Basically, for example, having lower energy levels, being more withdrawn on some level, being more in your own world, in your own head, that is considered bad for whatever reason. It can also be social roles, gender roles, anything. So social stigma can make you feel like you have to extrovert more, and that can also lead to you mistyping yourself or trying to be more like an extrovert. There's different reasons, by the way, for these two as well. It's not just trauma or not just negative stuff, but I'm talking about negative experiences here. Feeler ? People who mistype as being feelers usually have what people call anxious attachment style. And anxious attachment is something that usually you experience in childhood, and the signs of it are that you are clingy, that you get triggered very easily. By the way, I could probably also just all kinds of traumas, really. Anything that triggers you, triggers anything really that amps up negative emotions, right? Anxiety, fear, anger, etc., etc. So it can be little traumas, can be, all kinds of things, and especially anxious attachment. So if you get triggered a lot, especially in romantic relationships, but it can also be in friendships, then you will probably think you must be a feeling type, because there is this idea out there that feeling types are overly emotional, overly triggered all the time, and that's not really the case. That's just unhealthy emotional regulation. I've also made a video about what feeling types are actually about. I would encourage you to watch that video to really know what feeling is in the Jungian world, in the Jungian system. But essentially, if you have bad emotional regulation, most likely it's related to anxious attachment or some other kind of negative experience you've had. Now, thinker ? It's connected to the above, and this is where it's called avoidant attachment. Avoidant attachment is the opposite. So instead of clinging onto people and being scared of being abandoned, which anxious attachment is, anxious attachment is scared of abandonment, and then they become very clingy or very, emotional and things like that. But avoidant attachment is where you try to avoid attachment, right? You try to avoid getting close with people emotionally. You tend to avoid romantic relationships, friendships. Depends where exactly your avoidant attachment is stacked up against, like if it's more in the romantic sphere, if it's more in the personal friendship sphere. Anyhow, and this avoidance of attachment and connection and vulnerability, it is natural you would start assuming maybe you cannot be a feeling type because you don't really know what you're feeling. You're running away from your personal emotions. You cannot deal with personal emotions or with emotions in general, with your own specifically. Then it's kind of normal that you would assume, okay, I must be a thinking type. But once again, I refer you to one of my older videos about what is a thinking type. So you know that thinking in the Jungian sense is not the same as thinking in, regular daily life. Okay, next one is sensing. Based on what I've observed, what can block intuition is, once again, negative experience and being judged and rejected for being considered too weird, too strange. And not just in general, but specifically your ideas and insights and concepts and things like that. So that's a bit of an odd one, but it's the desire of wanting to be normal and fitting in and not wanting to be cast out based on your weird ideas. So what could you say there? Rejected, weird ideas, weird thoughts. So that's something I experienced also when in your childhood or when you're growing up and your parents or caregivers or whoever react negatively towards what you're saying, your ideas, what you think, your views, then it will inhibit the intuition part to some extent, and then you will try to fit in more. I've seen intuitive types who, one of the reasons they want to be sensing types, they start focusing more on the sensing world because they want to fit in. They don't want to stick out too much. So that's usually one of the reasons why an intuitive might mistype as sensing. Last but not least, intuition ? This is also another interesting case, which is not going to be very common, but I have a client who has that experience, and yeah, I've noticed that in the world. Reasons why someone might mistype as an intuitive type, or rather as not being a sensing type, would be physical trauma or sexual trauma. Physical abuse, sexual abuse, those kinds of things. So I would just write down physical abuse. Now that's more of a serious trauma, but all traumas can be serious in their own way. What is the result from that? You won't feel at home in your body, right? Your body will feel uncomfortable, will feel unsafe. And that feeling of unsafety, that anxiety, will make you want to not focus on your own physicality, your own body, especially internal sensations. And if you are actually a sensing type, that can create a blockage. It can inhibit your full expression of yourself, especially your proficiency at your personal sensing when it comes to your own body. So this is something you should not underestimate. With all of these things, therapy could be advised. Basically, you will need to get rid of all of these blockages to move forward. Okay, so like I said, all of these blockages, all of these negative life experiences keep you from your inherent superpowers, your functional strengths, the things you are supposed to engage in and deal with in your life. So what you need to do is you need to either go to therapy or you need to educate yourself, get a coach, mentor, whatever it is, to be able to remove whatever blockage you have. Only then you will be able to fully express your personality and know what your personality is. Because I'm aware of all of these blockages, I can still see through it. I can still see through the anxiety, the fears, the defenses, and see what someone's type is beneath all of that. So if you still want to know what your type is and you still haven't resolved these issues, that's fine. You can still get typed by me. Go to typevolution.com/services and I can help you discover what your personality is and how you want to create a lifestyle that suits it better. Alright, I hope you liked this video. Please give it a like and share it if you enjoyed it, if you found it useful, and see you in the next video. Bye!